Even on the normal days, you touch your hands with your friends, the germ get in. And germs, by germs we mean the pathogens. And there are different types of pathogens that we'll learn in this section. So keep watching this video in order to how to prevent your body from getting germs or pathogens on your body. Hey guys, this is Karan here. I live in Saudi Arabia studying 10th grade in Yama International School. Today in this section we'll be talking about the immune system, but before we start on with immune system, we will also discuss about how different types of diseases. Well, there's two different types of diseases. The first is infectious disease and there is non-infectious disease. Now the difference between both of them is nothing much than one is being carried on or passed on and one of them is not. Well, infectious disease is something that is being carried on, passed on or carried on. Now, for example, you can think infectious disease as an example of flu or polio. If you have it, you can spread it to one person to another person, and so on and so forth. Well, non-infectious diseases that you just keep it with yourself. For like smokers, well, they get heart diseases, lung diseases, and those diseases are not passed on. So they are known as non-infectious diseases. Now it turns out that whenever diseases are, the word disease that I have illness, the disease is mentioned, people always think of two types of diseases. Well, the first one they would think would be a bacterial disease. The second type they would think would be a virus. You got a virus from somebody else. But it turns out that in biology, there's 5 different types of diseases. And what we'll do here is basically discuss on not only 5 different types of disease, we'll also discuss how those diseases get into our body, and basically in body is the immune system and how do we get sick. So what are 5 different types of diseases? Well, before we go on to the 5 different types of diseases, we'll first know what is an immune system. Well, immune system is a body system that fights off infection and pathogens. Well, we don't know what pathogen is, right? So before we actually go on and talk about pathogen, like we said, we'll list 5 different types of diseases. The first one would be bacteria, viruses, fungi, protozoa, and parasites. Now all these 5 different types of diseases can make you ill or give you some kind of 2 different types of disease, whether it could be infectious or non-infectious. It depends upon the disease that you have gotten. Now, these 5 different types of diseases, which we just mentioned, can cause illness, like we said. And these 5 types of diseases is categorized into one category known as pathogens. So whenever pathogen the word is mentioned, you know it's talking about those 5 different types of categories, which are the 5 different types of diseases, which we said would be bacterial disease, fungi, viruses, protozoa, or parasites. Now, so your body is basically specialized as a function. Now this is just a structure of how the actual human body would look like. Now, even though this isn't an accurate version, this is the accurate version. We cannot bring the accurate version, right? So here, this is the model of the human body. Now you can see the immune system is over here, where there is a large intestine and a small intestine. But the point that I'm trying to make is that this whole body, you can think it of as castles. Now, like castles have different lots and lots of security, and if you want to go to a castle, you know that you have to go through a lot of trouble just to go inside the castle. Now, since we now know that the body is basically structured as heavily guarded castle, which basically means that your body has lots of protection when pathogens come and invade. What they do is they first break down the outer wall, which is the skin over here, and find a way around it. If they cannot go through the wall directly because of the white blood cells protecting us from getting ill, what they do is if they can't go through the wall, they find a way around it. So these things are done to cause you illness. Let's suppose that the intruders, which are the diseases, these pathogens, get past the physical barriers, which basically means, let's suppose they pass through the wall or skin and get inside the body. What they do is basically they must face your body, fighters in hand-to-hand combat. Okay, so the fight is basically between the white blood cell and the pathogens that has invaded into your body. When the invaders gain the upper hand, you become sick. When the body defenses are winning the way, you stay healthy as you were before. Now it's really clearly explained and clearly discussed that once the pathogens win the fight against white blood cells, which are the protection of your body, they're protecting you from getting ill or getting any kind of diseases. They protect you from not getting ill, but they cannot always win, like we know. So whenever the intruders, which are the pathogens invading your body, win the fight, you basically get sick or cause illness. So let's go ahead and start talking about anything else we must know what an immune system is. Like we said, an immune system, the body system that fights off infection and pathogen. Well, let's take this idea and compare it to castle like we did before. So I'm sure you guys know a lot of things about castle. So just as a castle has several lines of defense, so does your body's immune system. The immune system relies on physical barriers to keep pathogens out. Yet, when pathogens get past the physical barriers like walls or anything, or the skin right here, the warrior cells of immune system travel through the lymphatic and circulatory system to reach the site of infection. Just like castle have doors and windows, your skin also have opening. And you can see the skin, the opening of the skin, which are the pores. An example would be, if you were to take an example, it would be a nose, okay? Just one example. Now the mucous membrane in the organ use the hair-like cilia that are covered with sticky liquid to trap pathogen before they move into body. Now, like we mentioned before that if they cannot get through the wall, they find a way around it. What they can do, the pathogens, can go through an opening where, like mouth, or nose, or ears, or anything like that. Whenever there is opening, they find a way to go inside the body. The body must protect us from getting sick or causing illness, right? So we have hair-like structures right here inside of our nose, which are known as cilia. Which what they do is basically they have dry liquid kind of substance that whenever the pathogens comes in, they stop them from going inside our body. Okay, so they're like the warriors. They're not actually fighting, but they're protecting with their shield. You can think of it that way. Now, what happens is that when they dry out, it becomes a mucus. Okay, so that's what that is. It's a pathogen. Now, even with the skin and mucous membrane protects you, some pathogens still get into the body. Once pathogens are inside, the immune system relies on circulatory system to send signals, which are the chemical signals, to coordinate the attack between the pathogens and the cells. And not just any type of cells, it's basically the specialized structure cells to fight against infection. So here we'll be raising and talking about the different types of cells, because not all cells can fight against the pathogens. right? So it turns out that there are three types of cells. Three types of cells. The first one, what we'll do is basically first list them out and then start talking about it. The first one would be phagocyte. Then there is B cell, and the third would be the T cell. Okay? So these are the three types of cells that protect us or fight against the pathogens that are invading into our body. So what is a phagocyte? Well, the phagocyte is a cell that destroys pathogen by surrounding and engulfing them. So what happens is that here you can think of this as this way. The pathogens are really small and they come in huge amount. So even if one comes into our body and rest of them die and the white blood cell or the different types of cell protecting also die, this one cell can also cause you an illness. So this has like many of them, but the phagocytes are structured like this. What they do is basically, like we said, they surround the whole pathogens like this. Okay, excuse my drawing. They surround it by like this, and at the end of the day, these pathogens, after they have surrounded this pathogen, they come over it, engulfing them. They go on them. Okay? Now what is the function of a B cell? Well, B cells are basically cells that produce proteins. Now what this protein does is basically, this B cell does not take an activity in fighting at all. But how are they different types of categorized in different types of cells that help us protect our body? Well, what happens is that B cell produces proteins. Now this proteins, what it does, that this pathogen that has already invaded to our body, okay, this pathogens that, let's say a pathogen is invading into his body. Now the pathogens that already invaded into his body might continue. The B cell cannot stop them. Like we said, it doesn't take an activity in fighting at all. But the pathogens that are not yet invaded, the B cell can stop them invading from the body, and these proteins can help them to stop the intruders from coming in. Now those people, or you can think of pathogen as people, now those people that have came inside our body cannot be stopped, but what can be stopped is those intruders that haven't yet come inside. So this B cell basically what it does is produce proteins that inactivate pathogens that have not yet infected a body cell. Now what is the function of a T cell? Now T cell is the real fighter. Now as you might know, by real fighter, they might take activity in fighting. So what it does is basically destroys body cells that are infected with pathogens. Destroys cells that are infected with pathogens. And remember, pathogens consist of 5 different categories, which are bacteria, viruses, protozoa, fungi, and parasites. Okay, now These are the three different types of cells. Now, like we mentioned that B cell carries proteins, it turns out that there are three different types of proteins that also help us in protecting our body from intruders. So just as there are three different types of cells, there are three different types of protein. And now we can say that three different types of protein are characterized by two different types of protein. The first one is complement protein. The second one is antibodies. Interferons. Whoops. Okay, now what we'll do is basically go ahead and talk about these three different types of proteins. So let's go ahead and move on to the slide in which we talk about these three different types of proteins. So here are the three different types of protein that play an active role against intruders. So you can go ahead and pause the video and take a look at those. So yeah guys, like, comment and subscribe, and thanks for watching.